Hello everybody and welcome to a very scenic update for my 3-stud wide railway. So since the Taunton show I have purchased a lot of piping and round bricks and leaf elements and branch elements to make a whole birch forest throughout the entire railway here. I've also bought lots of flowers that I've made up and filled these areas to make it look very densely packed. Lots been going on with that. I've also found a small ant to include hiding off in there as well. There's a spider up on top of the hillside. I've added some more greenery onto that as well. Even a little life ring which I had left over from my canal has been added to in front of the pond to make sure that it's nice and safe for the visitors. And I'm really glad with doing this. It's filled in all of that empty green area, and I think that this looks a lot more detailed, as it were. Also, on the left side, as we go past, I've introduced that fencing. The forest continues. I still need to get a few more branch elements to make more of these trees, which I'm going to place around. But I've started to do some of the storytelling on this side as well. Again, more flowers, and I found the pigeons on the pab online, and I bought 15 of them because I wanted purely to make this scene of somebody being harassed by them whilst they were trying to eat. I think it's a really fun scene, and I'm glad that I've included that in there. And it makes a nice use of this space as well. I might need to add maybe somebody else onto the picnic area, and I was considering maybe adding a skeleton in here as if someone's been attacked by the pigeons already. So that's pretty fun having that in there. Also towards the back, I've now added an additional gate to go into the area where the steam locomotive is being kept. I need to get one more fence to finish that off, and I just need to decide what I'm going to do at the back here. I'm not sure if I just extend this track and then maybe make a small carriage to sit behind the train. That might look quite fun. Or do I put some like accessory bits like bins and boxes and maybe a small coal bunker or something like that. So I need to decide what I'm going to do there. But that is pretty much all that I have done to the main, not to the main display, to the 3-stud display. I have lots more of these flowers that I've made up ready in a bag. Over here, these are ready to be placed around the main display, but as the main display is all packed away, I'm actually going to put those out tomorrow, because tomorrow it will be the first Plymouth Brick Festival of the year. So I'll be there with a new locomotive that I've built, but I'll show you more to do with that in a separate video. But for today, we're just going to focus on this little bit here. One of the other things that I want to try at the show this time around as well is with the circuit cubes. One of these cubes lasts me about half of the show. So it got me thinking, if I put that there with another cube on top, the batteries connect together because of the terminals. So it seems logical to me that I could just put 2 on top, turn them both on. I've doubled my capacity. So with a stack like that, that should last the whole show. It makes sense in my mind, so I'm going to try it this time around, and we'll see whether or not that works. Worst case scenario, I have to leave the railway static for a little while whilst I charge up a cube at the show, but honestly I think that that's probably going to do it.
After returning from the mild disaster that was the Plymouth Brick Festival this year, I've got a few issues, and you can tell that one of the main ones is the problem with all these trees. They've all fallen over, and mostly this was because of only being one stud attached to the base plate, and during transportation they would just fall about the place all willy-nilly. The other problem was that some of the visitors like to get a little bit too close to displays, and I have to say again, guys, please, if you're visiting a Lego show, please do keep in mind that these are very delicate displays that we have out for you, so keep your hands to yourselves. Now the biggest problem was mostly the grown-ups, to be fair. They would put their hands in between the trees to point things out, like, oh, here's this spider, for example, and then they would move their hands to the sides, and then they'd knock those trees over. And the biggest problem that I've got there is that if that tree falls into the wrong place, then one of the locomotive going round, that tree could bind it up and burn my motors out, for example. So it's really not going to be any good, is it? So I need to come up with a plan. And I've seen that there are some 2x2 tiles with Technic pin on. And I think I've got some black and grey and white ones, which I might be able to use. But I've also seen that you can get those in green. So I'm planning on getting some of those green ones so that they blend nicely into the scenery. And I'm going to attach my trees onto those in order to stop these trees from falling over.
The other minor disaster from the show as well is that this bag contains what used to be my pub. So this is from my Tudor corner. Unfortunately, whilst we were packing up, I lifted the modular building from the sides, and the bottom section of uh, the modular came away and fell to the ground with a great clatter. And you can see here in the footage on screen, it was absolutely obliterated. So I've had to gather up all of the pieces, and I've bagged them up. Um, and I'm going to have to reconstruct that lower floor back together again now. And that's going to be my job for today, because I need to get everything ready, as next weekend, literally a week later, we are going to be at Paynton's National Brick event as well. So quite a bit to kind of sort out. I'm also going to see if I can get some of those plates for the trees ordered today as well, and fingers crossed they'll arrive in time for me to be able to put those on before the show as well. Well, thankfully, that wasn't too difficult to put back together, and the part that I modified for the plate layer pub sign actually went together, or stayed together, and part of the crash that happened. So it wasn't too difficult to then recreate that back as it should be. The one casualty of this event, though, is one of my gold cups, which I add to my sign, did get destroyed. So fortunately, I have another of those gold cups to be able to put that back on the sign here. So no harm and no foul. Everything's back together again. I'm going to try really hard not to drop that next time. Right, it has been a few days and I have made some progress on the trees. I've got them all back into position, but I've now embedded some of these modified plates in to hold the tree. Very easy to pull up and off, but much harder to knock over. So that is going to keep those put in place nicely during the shows. One problem though is that the white and black plates, they look awful. So I have bought a bunch of green ones. So these are going to blend in far better. So I'm going to replace all of those now so that these trees look like they're coming out of the ground rather than sitting on a plinth. And there we have it. All of the trees are now safe and secure on the layout. They're much better than they were before. I can knock them about and not have to worry. So they're not going to fall off when I'm driving, and hopefully when people are putting their hands in when they shouldn't and accidentally knocking things, they're not going to come off. The flowers are still always going to be an issue, being on one stud, but that's the way it goes really. Do a little quick earthquake test and you can see everything is holding much, much better. I mean, if it's getting moved about that much, I mean, we're in some real trouble anyway. So, yeah, really pleased with how that's gone. I've also put back all of the flowers into the clearing in there as well. I really like how densely packed that is. Perhaps a few small gaps towards here at the back, which I can put some stalk-like vegetation in. It would also be good to try and put something along the back wall that doesn't foul the locomotive as well. So I'll try and figure out what I can put there too. But yeah, overall, very pleased with how these have turned out. I had to adjust a few of the trees. You'll notice that they've all got a little bit sticking out the top at the moment, as the pipe that I used, that won't go down into the center of those modified tiles. So I grabbed them there. I've got some left over. You can see the pipe won't fit down that middle section, which I hoped that it would, but it doesn't. So it just catches into the first. Let me show you. Let's see from there. You can see it just catches into the first tube to keep that one secure and as part of the whole structure, and then it slots over the top. So I'm probably just going to trim those off with some side cutters. I don't really want to mess about adding more trunk pieces to it to try and cover them. And to be honest, the little variation in height I think is quite nice. Maybe I'll use one of them to hold a bird's nest in or something like that. Could be a good option as well. But I'll address that in a little bit. Um, as far as this goes now, pretty pleased that this is mostly completed. There are a few places where I'd like to add some more trees, so I'm going to have to add some more of these limbs to my basket. I think over in this back corner there's room for another tree, especially if I pull that bush out. And also over here, I think I might have mentioned before, to add some trees into this area as well, just to keep it into a whole woodland kind of setup. So I think definitely that, and I think adding leaves onto these branch pieces as well will also look really good. So that will probably be in the next steps that I take with this. Well, maybe not the next steps. There's other pieces I can do which aren't going to be quite as intrusive. I do need to move this buffer stop back. I've decided I'm going to extend the railway siding here so that I can put maybe a small carriage which is just in place waiting. And also I had to change out let's see if I can get a good view. I had to change out a square post here. This was one stud further forwards, and the locomotive was hitting it as it was going around the corner. So I've changed it to a circular one and moved this entire fence line back so that it isn't going to cause any more fouling problems there as well. So let's move on to our next jobs. And there we have it. I've added the little extension to the railway there. I need to get some of these one by one brown tiles. I need loads of those for the main railway as well. So the next pab order that I do will likely have a few hundred of those included on it as well. I'm going to build, I'm not sure if I want to build like a little flatbed wagon or a little carriage. I need to decide what's going to go there, but something there that's going to go with the locomotive, and I think that will look quite sweet. Also, you would have seen I was adding in some barriers onto the back of the station. A little bit of health and safety improvements going on there, and I think that they have came out pretty well too. And I think that was everything that we've changed on this now. This is a lot better than what it was before. Really pleased with how it's turned out. There are probably a few bits and pieces that I am still going to change. For example, I've ordered some more of these limb elements to make those few more trees. So when they arrive, I'll also be putting those in. Oh, and I just remembered I also put in, it's really difficult to see, but at the back there are these foliage pieces against the wall, like ivy creeping up. Just try and cover some of that wall and break up the slab of brown at the back. So yeah, that is everything on this one, and I'm now moving on to my next project whilst I wait for those trees to arrive, and that is I am going to do a half plate extension to the back of my canal because it doesn't reach the back of my display.
So I've built the substructure using the white bricks that I was using for my Christmas videos on Instagram, and have got all of the structure in place, including the canal itself with all the waterwork and a vague check of the slope to make sure that it fits. I've had to tear apart the existing canal side so that I can add in the receiver pins to connect them together, and most of it is now together and just waiting for the last few pieces to arrive as part of a bricklink order.
So I'm revisiting my goods shed again, just to do a very small modification, and that is that I've added a basic decoupler inside the shed itself. This is the sort that just pushes a bar over the track so it blocks a wheel, and then as you pull back hard, that should decouple the magnets. And I've given this a quick test, and it does seem to work quite successfully. Um, so I'm pleased with that. Before I was having to put my hand in and kind of get between the loco and the wagon and kind of prise them apart by twisting my hand. I derailed stuff really quite regularly because of that. So this is going to work a lot better. Um, Very simple operation as well, just sliding back and forth. My only concern is whether when I go back, if I've got a rake of wagons, whether or not it's going to break at the point where I expect it to break, or whether it's going to break just randomly within that rake somewhere. So a little bit of testing to do, give it a try, and we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, perhaps I need to look at a different kind of uh, decoupling method. But for the time being, I'm hoping that that is going to do what I need it to do. So I had a delivery of parts, and I've now added some new trees. Can you spot them? Probably not, because I do have quite a few anyway. So I've got a new tree in the back here, filling in that gap that was in the back. And I've also got a new tree in the back corner. And I think it was a new tree in the back there. So this is a lot more full than what it was before. And I think that's got, when you're down at this level, a really nice full look to it now. So I'm pleased with that. Do I want more trees? Probably. I think actually adding loads of trees into this is working out quite nicely. So maybe some along this front section would also be quite good too. There's something that I did notice as I'm filling this out with trees as well, though, is that where the tunnel is and the kind of pond in front, it's leaving a bit of a gap in there. And I'm wondering if perhaps I should capitalize on that. And I've been looking at making some little bridges, and I thought maybe if I put these bridges in at this level and have have a stream carry on from the front there, and I can just have a little bit coming out from the front, that might actually look really quite cool. I'd have to do quite a wide bridge because I also have to incorporate that path, but I could bring this out a little bit further and make a whole, more of a point of uh, this stream area. Obviously, the chain runs through here, so I'd still need the black side, so I'd need to blend those in. My plan was if I put this with the black behind it, so if you imagine that brown was black, it's just going to look like an opening going underneath. I can just have the water coming just under from there. So that's my plan. I've got another one partially made. I need to order some bits to finish this one, and that would just go, on the opposite side kind of thing. Could probably only be about a brick taller than the main floor level, but I think that would just be another nice feature to include um, on that part of the display. So I'm going to look at doing that. It means I've got to do another bricklink order for some more bits and pieces, but I mean, that's just the way it goes when you like meddling with your displays as much as I do. The other parts that also arrived with that bricklink order was all of the tiles to do this slope, and also all of the grey pieces for the Armco for the canal. So this is now fully complete and extended. I have just shimmied over a few of the trees and relocated some bushes from elsewhere as well to fill out this kind of area. I'm really happy with how it's come together. those trees being a little bit thinner. There were basically trees closer to the bottom of here, and they've moved up and round. So I'm really happy with this. It looks great, I think. Maybe in the future, another tree here, perhaps. I do have, I've got some limb pieces. Maybe I can see if I can find enough of these brown barrel pieces and get an extra tree put in there. And we can include another one as well. But I think I showed before, this, I've got a clip on here just to, or a plate on here to clip it all together at the top so it looks smart. Bloody impossible to take off. There we go, and then that whole thing comes off. This is mainly so it makes it easier for me to put this into this crate. So the whole main section slides in through the open side. Then I can put the side onto it, and then this bit will just drop in next to it so that I can still get to the wing nuts, which are in there, and then they will connect on. I've just knocked off a big leafy piece. There we go, grab that again. I didn't actually need to buy any new ones of these because I had so many that were along here. They were very densely packed, so I've just thinned them out a bit to bring some more over to this side. But again, I think it looks brilliant. Really pleased that that is done. That means that this comes all the way to the back of my display now. Beforehand, it finished there, and my yard, the goods shed, came back a whole half plate more. So now that is fully filled in, and that's going to be ready for next weekend when I'm doing the Plymouth Model Railway show with some friends as well. So that's going to be super good. Oh, the other thing in my order, you can see down over here, zoom it in, oh my gosh, down over here I've got some extra fencing, so that is just going to go along next to the golf course, so that, oh, I'm playing with the zoom, they'll go next to the golf course, and that's just going to look a bit nicer than some of the very thin foliage which is there currently. I'm just picking up as many of those fences whenever I can. If I make an order and someone's got one or two of them, I'm just tacking them on to make up numbers. So slowly progressing that. I think that what I might do is I've got a set that might work with that as well. So the other thing that I bought was this set, which is the mini bonsai trees. And my thinking was that these, with a minifigure next to them, they're just basically regular sized trees for a minifigure. So if I get rid of these pots and the tables and that sort of thing, I can just add those along the same length of area that the golf course is in, and these will create a nicer vegetation look in that area. So I'll probably build these up soon, and I imagine that I'll probably place those on the day because the plates for the golf course are, I think they're actually down in this pot, in this box here. The way that they stack makes it quite difficult to put stuff together. I really need to make another one of these transport boxes and add some corner pieces to allow them to stack, and then perhaps I can be a bit more focused on what I'm going to do with that golf course. But yeah, so for the time being though, I'll probably build these up and place those on the day so that they're easier to deal with.
That's all for this video. Please, if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time when we talk about the Plymouth Model Railway Show.